Hello friends! After much convincing, I have decided to start reviewing rods. The rod we're reviewing today is the, Dragontail Foxfire ZX280. I got out of the car, got ready to do this video, and it started raining. But I'm already here, so we're gonna try it anyway. This rod is a zoom rod. It comes in 3 lengths. It's like just over 6.5 feet, around about 8 feet, and is it 9.3 feet, so whatever that makes in inches. I'm going to start at the longest length, which everyone has complained about for being too floppy, but let's get set up and get in the water. I too also thought this rod to be a bit floppy and kind of hard to fish in its longest length. And then I realized, you know, you can just put a heavier line on it and then it's way better. So that's exactly what I've done. Personally, I find this rod to cast wonderfully in all 3 lengths. Although this rod is a bit soft in its longest length, it's still very easy to cast accurately as well. I'm going to make an attempt at catching a fish at each length. This rod is by no means a heavy rod, but when you're casting it continuously in its longest length, it does get tiring rather quickly. Ooh, the sun! Didn't expect to see that guy today. All right. Oh no! What a shame. All right. I caught a thing. There's the bend in the rod on a, what is this, a 2-inch chub? Oh, I'm sorry. He's twice the size I thought. He's 4 inches. So a 4-inch chub puts that kind of bend in a rod. This rod. So long. That's not what I was looking for. Let me specify, I'm going to try and catch a trout on each length. This is the problem with the longest length, is the wind. It's so floppy in the wind that it's just the hardest to cast where you want. If you're fishing in the wind, don't use this rod at this length. If you're fishing in the trees, here we go. Oh, all right, there's the bend in the rod. Decent trout, not a massive trout. So with a line as long as I have on here, it's roughly like 10.5 feet. It is definitely a fight for even a, what are you, 7-inch fish? You know, I had to move out of the deeper water because I couldn't get the fish out of the water into my net. There he is. So now we're gonna go to the middle length. I'm gonna have to change lines though, because this line is too long. Actually, I changed my mind about changing the line. I'm going to try what Long Tam told me about, where you change where your knot is. With the middle length, the casting is much more crisp, much easier to do. That loop of extra level line is so distracting. But distracting isn't really a problem because it's not in the way so far. Recommended. That's the word I was looking for. He recommended it to me. So obviously, shorter line, shorter rod, you can't go as far on your casts. But a lot of the times, I'm in creeks much smaller than this. You do get to cast significantly faster, more whippy, if you will, which tends to make your fly hit the water first, which is exactly what you want. You don't want all your line to slap down on it. We're not spay casting for salmon. Personally, I think the middle length of this rod is absolutely perfect. I have a much easier time casting the middle length. Okay, here we go. There's the bend in the rod. It's slightly less. And we're fighting, and we lost it. Oh, you could see the bend in the rod. Slightly less of a bend. That was about the same size of a fish. But slightly less of a bend than fully extended. It gives you a little more control, but when you're trying to show people that, it's easier to lose the fish. A couple more casts. If we don't get anything in the net, we'll shorten the rod, move on. Okay, here we go. Here's a little guy. Alright, so, even a little guy, you know, almost completely straight rod. Fly came out again because I'm trying to show it off. So, what is that? 4 inches? Yeah, roughly a 4-inch fish. Very pretty fish though. Easier to control, easier to just yank them right out of the water. Must have got him in the eye. Whoop, there he goes. It's easier to just pull them out of the water the shorter the rod gets. Now, at its shortest length, this rod can be kind of troublesome. So mine, the O-ring on the end has worn out enough that it doesn't exactly stay in place. But, you know, I could replace it with any kind of O-ring. I just haven't because I'm outrageously lazy. When you start getting to the shortest length, it is absolutely fantastic for these, you know, overgrown creeks that you have to bow and arrow pretty much every cast. Fantastic for that. It's really smooth when it shoots the fly out. It's not overly springy. Casting is a bit more whippy. Basically, the shorter the rod, the more it is like whipping with a whip. My creativity and vocabulary are not on top of their game today. Now, when you actually hook a fish on this shortest length, you have to be careful not to turn it into the Fish Launcher 3000 and just chuck it over your shoulder into the woods. You have to set the hook a little softer, is what I've found. For being a short rod that's a bit stiff, it's still supremely accurate. Woo! All right. He came at the last second. Okay, so there's your bend. Decent fish. About a 90-degree bend there. Let's get over here so I don't fall in the water. Oh, that's a good fish. All right. What's this one? 6 inches. Hey, I appreciate you doing that, fish. With this length, you have to be careful not to whip the thing out of the water. You saw how easy I had to go with it. And off you go, friend. Cliff notes. The rod is overall fantastic. A bit soft in its longest length, slow down your cast. A bit stiff in its shortest length, just whip it like Devo. At the middle length, it's magic. It's absolutely perfect. Of the rods that I have, this is the one that I use the most so far. When you're fishing in its longest length, it's real heavy feeling. The action that you have to go through, so deliberate and so slow. You're not really wrist whipping, you're kind of full arm ripping. It can feel a bit heavy. The shortest length, middle length, none of that. It's so whippy, easy to use. You don't get tired using it that way at all. Yeah, that's my review. Maybe I'll fine-tune these in the future, but we'll see. Oh, thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.